Homies! Welcome to the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast. I'm your host, Victoria L. Johnson, and I'm here with Kirah Taborn, aka Astrology. She's an astrologer, writer, educator, and creator. She's also the host of the Astrology Show podcast, founder of the 11th House, a membership for students and enthusiasts of astrology to gather, learn, and connect. And she's a co-founder of Cusp Astrology, the only modern astrology app with daily horoscopes and compatibility reports focused on love, sex, relationships, and the erotic. I'm super excited to have her on the show. Hey, Kirah.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast.
I'm so excited to be here.
I am too. Well, the first question I like to ask every guest is, what is your first memory of watching Sailor Moon?
So I came late. I came into Sailor Moon very late. I'm pretty sure I started watching it for the first time in 2017, I think. I was just in my apartment in New York. I guess the rewind to this would be, I have a good friend named Sade, who I personally think you should have on the podcast, but we could talk about that another time.
Well, I love Sade. She actually designed my podcast promo art stuff.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and I definitely want to have her on the podcast. We've talked about it. It's happening. Yes.
Okay, good. Because she's the one who really got me to like start watching, because she's a huge Sailor Man fan, and we started becoming friends and talking about doing work together, and she just raved about it, and it's just something I never encountered when I was younger. I never watched anime when I was younger. It was just not, I don't know, I just didn't encounter it. But I remember putting it on one day. My roommates had this like projector. We had a projector instead of a TV. I just remember like putting it on and then just like starting to binge it. And I just loved it. I loved it from the beginning. I just thought it was so great in so many different ways. And I just kind of got hooked from there. So it wasn't that long ago. And it's still sort of like this comfort thing I come back to every now and then. I haven't like finished everything, but I've gotten through a couple seasons, and definitely a big fan now.
That is awesome. I love that so much because, as for me, I came to it so young, and a lot of times I get scared. I don't think I have this for the show, but I get scared that, a lot of the love I have for it is nostalgia. And so it makes me happy to hear someone come to it later and still, find it to be a great show. Yeah,
it is such a good show.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. So it's fresh in your memory too, which is good too.
Yeah.
What would you say? Do you have any favorite episodes or moments?
I think my what stands out to me is in the beginning when they're like, in Sailor Moon's kind of meeting all the other Sailor Scouts, like the Mars meeting in particular, I think was a standout moment for me. But also, I think the standout moment was when Uranus and Neptune came into play, and just there's so much there, but like the surprise elements, the gender elements to those two characters, and of course like Sailor Moon Usagi like kind of having a crush on Sailor Uranus at first, and like there's just that to me stood out a lot. I think especially just like being an adult watching this and being like, wow, this was like very ahead of its time, and I just love those two characters and their whole vibe too. So that I think was like the biggest standout moment for me, was when Uranus and Neptune came into play.
Yeah, they are just so epic and cool. Like right when they come on, you're just like, oh my God, who are these cool people? And I want to be them.
Literally. Yeah, exactly. Like they are like cool vibes goals for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. Just completely seem like they have their life together, and just, I don't know. I've been rewatching the third season lately, and it just holds up so well. And like I said, like they're just, when they come on the scene, it it gains a whole other element, and it's just really great.
Yeah, exactly.
I definitely feel that. With that said, do you have a favorite scout or senshi?
Sailor Mars, that's at least who I relate to the most. And yeah, I just love Sailor Mars so much. I feel like she's such an I'm a Scorpio, and I have Mars in Scorpio and Pluto in Scorpio, like all conjunct, and then I also have an Aries moon. So I consider myself very, very Martian, because both Scorpio and Aries are ruled by the planet Mars. And so when Mars came in, I felt so, she just makes me feel so seen, especially the like kind of like inner teenager, like rage punk inside of me. Mars makes me feel so seen and validated. And she's just such a badass. And yeah, she's my favorite because of that. I'm just like, I just feel so connected to her.
Yeah, Mars is great. I also like her character a lot, and that makes sense too. I find that a lot of Aries, even though you're Scorpio, but you said you have some connection, like Mars, and I find that so funny, and it just makes me believe in astrology all the more.
Yeah, and yeah, I love Mars especially because they made her character so much more than just like, warrior. Like they really, I believe that they did a good job of incorporating both aspects of Mars, meaning the Scorpio parts and the Aries parts. And the Aries parts, of course, being like she's a badass warrior. She can fight so well, and she has that sort of instinctual fighter element, and also she gets mad. she can fight back, like she can bite back, I should say.
Yeah.
Pretty easily. But she also has that deeper like inner spiritual side to her in her work that I love so much about her characters, that she has this like lineage aspect to her character, and like I said, this like almost psychic spiritual aspect as well, that I feel like is that deeper, more watery element associated with Mars. So yeah, she's just such a dynamic character to me.
Yeah, I completely agree. She is. Yeah, you're right, because they could have just made her like a hothead, but she's also like level-headed and a warrior, but also like all these things in one. Yeah. Well, I want to talk about you a little bit too. Mention your signs, but I want to know, how did you get into astrology in the first place?
Yeah, so astrology is one of those things that just kind of like, I don't know exactly how I got into it. I just know for the most part, I've always been at some degree into it. So ever since I was like really little, I just knew everyone's birthdays. Like I was just someone who knew everyone's birthdays, and I took a lot of pride in that. Like I still remember a lot of my preschool friends' birthdays, and like kindergarten. I remember my teachers' birthdays. Like it's just a weird thing. So I always knew birthdays were important. I don't know why I knew that, but I just had this instinctual feeling around that. And I've always known I was a Scorpio. That's just something I just always remember knowing. And I got really into it when I was like 11, 12. I think, the internet was becoming more of a thing, and I mean, not that it wasn't a thing before then, but just in terms of like being able to search for things on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me sound so old. I'm not that old. I just turned 30, but the internet hasn't been around for that long. Yeah.
I know what you mean though. Like, it was just, I guess, more accessible, and just like more sites where you can it was kind of the age I felt like when you were really like digging into like threads and, different forums.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like not to side note too much, but we remember what life was like before search engines and before Google. Like we have those memories, and so that's why I'm like, I must sound so old if there's any like people born in like 1998, 2000, listening to this. They're probably
exist. Like that's like, how is that possible? But I know it makes sense. Like someone born in 2000 is 21 or 20. Could be 22 now.
Somehow.
And it's like, how? It doesn't make sense in my mind. But yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely.
But anyway, yeah. So I remember being really into like learning about it specifically because I was really into boys and like, who am I compatible with? Who are my friends compatible with? And I remember thinking like, this is good information to know, and so that's when I started my like preliminary, obsession and research. But it wasn't until like 9 years later, I guess a decade later, come 2012, when I saw my birth chart for the first time. And I had a friend who was basically like, hey, did you know that there's like other signs, like moon signs? And she didn't really know what she was talking about, but I was very intrigued. And she had a book. So I learned that day that I was like an Aries moon and Pisces rising and all that. And then I remember just like being at home at my parents and over like a winter break or whatever, and just like Googling like, birth chart and typing in my information and seeing my chart for the first time. And it was just like the most incredible experience ever. And I just felt, it was just a really magical moment. And it just felt like, this is it. Like, that's the only way I can really describe it. I just felt like, okay, this is it. This is what you're going to be doing now. And I literally didn't sleep that night. I just stayed up and researched. And I was like, I need to know everything that I can know about this topic. And that was 9 years ago. And it's been like that ever since. So, I've just became really obsessed with it, and I still am.
That's super cool. I feel like you had like a magical girl awakening where like you discovered this thing and it just like changed your life.
Pretty much. Yeah. I have a screenshot of that, like, of whatever website it was like iFate or something. And yeah, just that moment was so special.
That's super cool. I wish I remember the site. It's funny, you made me remember something where I would also do the thing where I would look up my sign and my like a boy I like sign to see if we were compatible. And it was so randomly. It was like a Sailor Mercury site. It was like sailormercury.com or sailor-mercury.com. I don't even remember, but I remember.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
It was like a fan site created for Sailor Mercury, and they had that like thing where you can put in your sign and your crush's sign, and it will tell you if you guys were compatible. And I used that a few times. I wish I remember the site. But,
the only reason I remember is because I took a screenshot and put it on Facebook immediately and was like, holy shit, like, this is amazing. And no one understood it, but I'm really glad I put it on Facebook. So yeah, I can kind of look back at that memory.
Yeah, you make me want to like go back and dig and see if I can find it in like Wayback Machine or something.
Yeah,
that's really cool though. Oh, that's fun. Which kind of brings me actually, I guess, to the next question, which is your app that you co-founded. What brought you to create this app? It seems really cool.
Yeah, I mean, that is a really good segue into talking about the app, because it does have a lot to do with compatibility and all that. So yeah, the app, I've had this like, well, I guess I could start by saying relationships are just like everything to me. It just, in my life, it's in my chart, like, relationships are just a big deal. And within that, like, love, connection, all of that. And so I've been wondering, like, how is this going to translate into my astrology life and astrology career? And kind of just like having that in the back of my mind. And then my co-founder reached out to me last year and was like, hey, I have this idea for this app. Do you want to do this with me, basically? And I was like, actually, yes, I do. And so we kind of continued to develop the idea together and launched Cusp. And so, yeah, it's basically for us, like filling this space of an astrology app that's love and relationship focused, but that isn't like gimmicky, and that isn't basically just that has a lot of depth to it. And it's written by actual astrologers. It's written by people who have a lot of care and ethics in the way they're writing as well. And yeah, it's just the content is so rich and so good and unlike any other astrology app out there, I think. And it's just getting better and better, really. We're about to release even more updates to it, and I'm excited about where it's headed.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I am definitely going to download it on my iPad whenever I find my iPad again. And
yeah, it's great for compatibility reports. We're about to update them even more, to be even more like, I don't know if specific's the right word, but just we're adding more to them.
Like
so
tailored, maybe.
Yeah, so right now, excuse me, right now it kind of gives you like a general compatibility report. You have the option to include sexual compatibility as well. But when we update it, it's going to have friendship reports. Excuse me. It's going to have, friendship reports or romantic reports or sexual reports. So you'll be able to sort of see what type of compatibility you want, and then also just more in-depth synastry match. Like, just we're just writing more basically about each of those combinations. So yeah, without getting into the nitty-gritty of it, there's just a lot more to come, and we have such amazing writers on our team. So yeah, I'm really stoked about it.
That sounds really cool. I am very excited. Oh, I did find my iPad's on my bookshelf, where it should be. So yeah, I look forward to it. I have an Android phone, so I was like, oh, it's only on iOS, but I was like, oh, I have an iPad.
Oh, so. No, we're on Android too.
Oh, you are?
You can find it.
Oh,
yeah.
Yay. Okay, I don't know why.
Yeah, our iOS and Android, and yeah, you should be able to find it on, I don't know, what is it, the Play Store or whatever?
Yeah, Play Store, it's fine. I get it.
I am down. But yeah, we're on both. My co-founder is an Android person, yes. So yeah, he made sure of that. But yeah, we have that, and then we also, it gives you like daily horoscope as well, which are written by awesome astrologers, and it's, I would say, less so like a horoscope in terms of like, it's not trying to predict your day, but it's more giving you like a really helpful and insightful nugget of wisdom to like carry with you throughout your day, based on, the astrology. So we have a lot of really good feedback about our horoscopes, and I'm really proud of that team. And then we also have these like overviews as well, so you can read about your sun sign in regards to love. You can read about your moon sign, your rising sign, your Venus sign. And then we're also adding some more to come as well for like Mercury and Mars and everything. So yeah, it's great. I'm mostly just like so grateful for the team of astrologers we have working on it. They all rock, and they're all such great writers. So yeah, it's some good content, and it's coming from like good, reputable people.
That's really cool. I like just downloaded it. I'm so excited. I actually just found out my moon sign and rising sign today. I was like, I'm gonna look it up.
Oh wow!
Because I just never. I was always curious, and I don't know why I never thought to just like look it up before. And so I did it today. I was like, oh, so I'm really excited for this app now, because then I can learn all about my life.
Yeah, you can learn a lot more. What's your birthday? Or you don't, if you don't want to say it
That's fine.
on air, you can.
Fine. It's May 19th, 1991.
Oh,
So, yeah.
nice.
So I'm a Taurus, but my moon sign is Leo, rising sign is Sagittarius, and my Venus sign, I'm learning from your app, is Cancer, which makes me happy because it's Usagi.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're basically my half birthday. You were born like
Ah,
almost exactly 6 months. I'm November 18th. So, um, okay, cool. I'm looking at that date now.
ooh.
You say you're a Sag rising?
Mm-hmm. Wait, let me see. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. I see now. I see it. Moon and Leo.
Yay!
Fun, fun, fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
No idea what assumptions that makes about me, but I'm going to lean into it.
I see. Well, like what I get from your chart is like you're a very fixed person.
Mm.
Just like, the Taurus, you might hear like, oh, Tauruses are stubborn or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's more so, yeah, like stubborn can definitely be a word to describe fixed energy. I would also just call it focused and very concentrated, very dense energy as well. And it's like either not moving or it's moving in one direction, and it's not going to change directions unless it wants to.
That sounds about right.
So, yeah, that's definitely like a loud energy in your chart, I would say. But yeah, I guess on top of that, I would just say I could tell that the past couple of years have been a roller coaster for you.
That is so true.
Yeah. Yeah, so things are definitely like they're shifting for sure this year.
All right.
Yeah.
That sounds all accurate.
Cool.
Which
Yeah.
is kind of wild. That's cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, also leads me to my next question. You've started the 11th house, the membership program for students and enthusiasts. And, I know you have that you're an educator on your site. And I thought it was really cool that you have like all these resources for people who are new to astrology or want to learn more. But yeah, if you want to talk a little bit about what the 11th house is about, I would love to hear more.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like everything I'm doing now, especially in terms of education, in just like building spaces for community is because of what I've lacked and just what I see kind of lacking. But definitely what I was lacking when I first started learning astrology. It's just one of those things where like, I think a lot of people end up in the same situation that I was in, which is you start to learn this thing, astrology. It's fascinating. You become a little bit obsessed, and you want to talk to people about it. But most people, like, it's really hard to talk about it with other people unless they are equally obsessed, or know a little bit about it, which, comes with any sort of like hobby or field even or field of study, what have you. But especially astrology, because it is its own language. We're using, when astrologers are talking to each other, it's like we're using words that you would never hear in normal conversation, like if I don't know, just to say a phrase like, I'm in a seventh house perfection ruled by Mercury conjunct my midheaven. My Mercury is an evening, it's an evening star Mercury. It's out of sect. It's, moving towards a station. Like that whole sentence is something that it basically is a different language, right? And so, being able to find other people to speak that language with is so important when you're starting out on this journey, and just like when you're getting more and more excited about it. It's really important to be able to find other people to connect with and like I said, speak that language. So that's kind of the space that the 11th house came out of, was a desire to kind of create a space for folks to connect and gather. And share their knowledge, share what they're learning, learn together. I think you learn so much more and so much quicker when you're learning in community with other people, as opposed to, just kind of doing it by yourself, being your own little research holes. Of course, that can be super productive, but to be able to sort of come out of that and share what you're learning and hear from other people, your learning just grows so exponentially and expands so much more, and you get other perspectives, other way of looking at things. It's just this compounding effect when you're learning in community. So that's what the 11th house is kind of born out of, a desire for creating more spaces for those type of connections. And just from my in-person and virtual connections with other astrologers, and how much it's just helped me in my life personally, professionally, in all the ways, just being connected with other people in this field has been so rewarding. And I just personally think astrologers are the coolest people. So yeah, I just wanted to create a space for more of those type of really special connections to happen and to blossom.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I feel like having that community is so important, and probably one of the few things I miss about school, going to a place to learn, is that community aspect. And even learning together and kind of figuring things out and being able to have a study session with a friend and kind of learn things together and bounce off each other's ideas, and that's really cool. That's really good.
Thanks. Yeah, we have a lot of fun. We basically meet on, we do these meetups, obviously virtually, on the new moon and the full moon every month.
Ooh.
And it's basically a time for me to I just kind of talk a little bit about the astro weather, which by the way is the only time you'll ever hear me talking about the astro weather is with the 11th housers, because I just hate forecasting otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
But I like talking about it casually with them. And then the second half, and then I answer any questions that people might have. We have a form for people to submit questions, and all types of things come up. And then I kind of just put people in groups and give people time together in these smaller groups to talk, really. And it's kind of just a space for everyone has at least 10 minutes. Usually it's between 10 and 20 minutes a person to just kind of talk about what's happening in their life. I give prompts too. The prompts tend to be about the transits, but it's what's going on in your life, and being able to talk about it through, again, the language of astrology with people who understand that language and can offer advice based on your chart, or just offer an ear and hold space. But yeah, that's always such a lovely part of it. And then we also do these guest workshops where I'll bring in an astrologer, or usually it's not an astrologer. Sometimes they're astrologers, but bring in other people, outside people, to sort of teach something. And those are going to become public too this year as well. So I'm excited about that. And then we also have a very active Discord server. And we do reading trades, and, you also get access to a bunch of my workshops and webinars, and a bunch of other cool perks too. So yeah, it's a fun little online community for astro nerds, basically.
I love that. I've actually never heard that, astro nerds. That sounds awesome. It makes me want to be one.
Yeah, if you find yourself becoming obsessed with astrology, hit me up, because this is the best place for that.
Yes, I feel after a week on this app, I'm definitely going to be signing up.
Awesome.
Yeah, that is so awesome. And then another thing, you are very busy, and it's amazing. You have a book on Pisces.
Yeah.
How did it feel to write that book? And how was that process?
Oh my gosh, it was a process. I wrote it in 2019. It came out early 2020. But yeah, I wrote this little book about Pisces, and it was challenging in a lot of ways, because it's right X amount of words about this one sign, you know, you know what I mean? And it was more challenging in terms of, just like the assignment, and writing is just a difficult thing to do for me in general. But I will say it kind of came through me like in a very Piscean way. Like it felt kind of just like channeling almost, and like just like a wave of, you know, inspiration and words just kind of like dumped on top of me, and I just like got it all out. But, you know, I picked Pisces because I'm a Scorpio, but I have a Pisces rising, and I just, especially at that time in my life, was just surrounded by Pisces. Like, I still tend to kind of collect Pisces, but Sade,
yeah, okay, I was like,
yeah, Sade's a Pisces. Yeah. I just have a lot of friends who are Pisces and or Pisces risings. My grandmother is a Pisces. There's just like, my boyfriend at the time, we're not dating anymore, and yeah, but he was a Pisces. I'm like, I won't go there. I don't blame you for. I don't blame you, especially for dating Scorpio men, but we won't go there. But yeah, so I just was like, I had so many Pisces around me, and I felt like I chose Pisces over Scorpio because I felt like I was able to give a better, like, I have more perspective, I guess, on the different ways that Pisces can manifest. It felt more well-rounded, and I was worried that if I did Scorpio, it would be a little bit too much about me, and I don't know if I wouldn't know if it was like applicable to like, I mean, I would try at least to do that, but I think I would have gotten too much in my head about like, is this just about me or is this about Scorpios? You know what I mean? Because I'm such an intense super Scorpio. Okay. So that's why I picked Pisces. I was like, I don't want to be in my head about like, you know, am I doing this the right way or whatever. So yeah, it was great. I'm looking forward to writing another book that is more generally about astrology and like, you know, my education, I guess, style and how I like to teach astrology. So that's kind of what I'm working on now, and we'll be working on all throughout this year. But yeah, I mean, writing is challenging for me. It's really hard for me, but it's also something that I think once I do, it's sort of like a, you know, being in labor, like once I finally get it out, it's like, oh, okay. Like I love this baby, you know, even though it hurt to get it out.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I've been trying to engage in a writing process for the past few months, and it's just been like hard. And I like writing, and it's so hard.
Yeah, especially, you know, in this day and age, this world that we're living in right now.
So you just get distracted because I'm like my phone and I like Netflix, and it's like, oh.
You got to channel Sailor Mercury. Yeah, I think actually maybe I should print out a picture of her and keep it at my desk. That might be helpful.
That's a really good idea. I might do the same thing, and I could just be like Mercury.
Yeah, exactly.
What would Mercury do?
Yes.
That kind of brings me to my next question. We talked about Mars and how like she's like really represents Aries well, and I wonder if like you felt this similar way about Sailor Moon in general, like all the Senshi, like Sailor Moon's Cancer, and I think Sailor Jupiter is a Libra, I want to guess. Can't remember.
So, I think Sag.
Oh, Sag, you're right. December 5th. Yeah. Sag.
Oh, they have birthdays?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. Hold on, I want to look that up now.
So, yeah, I think I have some of that. So Sailor Moon is June 30th. Sailor Jupiter is December 5th. Sailor Venus, I think, is April 22nd.
Okay, so she's a Taurus.
Oh wait, maybe not then.
Interesting.
None of them are Tauruses.
Okay.
Oh, my bad. She's October 22nd.
Oh, she's a Libra. Yeah, I was gonna say she seems way more like a Libra.
Yeah, and I think Sailor Mercury is September 10th.
Yeah, she's such a Virgo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess the answer is yes. Yeah, Mars is, I think, April 17th, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's like
Cool.
5. And let's see, Sailor Uranus birthday. I'm like forgetting.
Yeah, Uranus, it says January 27th
Mm,
and Neptune March 6th, which
I see. So that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
I personally, yeah, I don't use Uranus and Neptune as rulers of signs, so
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time it still makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, these all, I think they do a really good job of keeping them, you know, pretty true to their signs, and to their planetary archetypes. I feel like, yeah, I'm like, do I have words? I mean, Sailor Mercury especially, I feel like is such a Virgo archetype. Definitely less so of the Gemini archetype. I think they just like decided to like go heavy on the Virgo side. But yeah, I don't know. They all are so good.
Yeah. I just realized, you made me realize that we could probably find all of their like rising and moon signs, because assumingly they all were born in Tokyo, Japan. And
Oh, right.
yeah, I'm probably gonna look that up later for fun, just for curiosity.
Yeah, I wonder what year you would use.
Oh, that's a good. Well, they do have their ages, so if the show takes place in like when it was came out, like they were all born in like the 70s, like late 70s.
Okay.
Um,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, that's definitely possible then.
Yeah.
That'd be
Oh,
fun.
I might try that. That'd be cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. I'm happy to know that. I've heard that they are, accurate to their signs, but I've never asked an astrologer, so I was like, okay, I'm
Yeah,
an expert.
I feel like they did you know, okay, so the only sailors that I haven't the only scouts that I haven't actually seen in the show yet, cuz I haven't gotten there. I haven't seen Saturn or Pluto yet. I haven't
Oh
gotten to
wow.
them. So I can't comment on those two, but oh, it's funny. Sailor Saturn's birthday is in 2 days. It's January 6th. Um But yeah, I remember like Sailor Venus just being like, I was just like, oh my God, she's just such a Libra. They just did such a good job. I feel like, yeah, I was really like pleased and impressed by how the characters are like such great representations of their archetypes.
Yeah, and I feel like too, for me, like, I don't know what came first, like a chicken or the egg, but like Sailor Moon, planets, and astrology were like all happening at the same time, like as interest in my younger self.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm happy to know that there is some intersectionality there. That's
Yeah, there definitely
Mhm.
is, and yeah, I would be interested in seeing their full charts actually, because yeah. They're so great. I also love how like Sailor Jupiter is like the biggest one, you know, like Jupiter is the biggest planet. Sailor Jupiter is like tall. I love how yeah, Sailor Mercury has like her cute little bob. Yeah, there's so many good tie-ins.
Sailor Pluto too, when you meet her, she's kind of like recluse a little bit, like to herself, which kind of like makes sense for Pluto being like the farthest planet and all these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really thoughtful
That makes
show, I think,
sense.
and series. You mentioned that you're not really into anime, but are you into any other like nerd things, or what else do you stand in general, actually?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I feel like I'm not like that's like the least cool thing about me is that I don't have like a a fandom or anything that I'm
That's
in.
fine. You probably save so much time.
I feel like when I was yeah, for me it's like music, like, you know, I could say I'm a Frank Ocean stan. That's probably like the closest, but I really, yeah, like annoying like bands, like The Strokes is like my favorite band, and like Arctic Monkeys and shit like that. So I'm more of like a music stan, I guess, especially certain rock music and also like emo music. Um, but but yeah, in terms of, I'm like I guess if I had to think about it, then like it's not there. In terms of other anime, though, I never really watched anime. I did watch the movie Akira, which I thought was so amazing. And of course, my name is Kira, so I had a little bit of connection there. It's not the same, obviously, as Akira, but
close enough.
Yeah, close enough. And that's like, I loved that movie a lot, and I'm sure there's maybe like another movie or two that I'm not remembering, but I have a humongous amount of respect and reverence for just anime in general. I know that's like a huge, anime encompasses so much, but I love how much our generation loves it, and like it's just a kind of like a part of millennial culture at this point, and even Gen Z culture, and I love that. I love that a lot. And it's funny because I feel like when we were younger, it was such a nerd thing. And now it's like, just like embedded in our, in our culture.
Yeah. It's like pop culture now. Before it was like,
yeah. Now it's cool. Now it's like very cool.
It is. It's like, yeah, it's so weird, but I love it for us.
Yeah. I love it for us. I love it for my millennials.
Yes. We deserve.
Yes.
That is super cool. And there are Sailor Moon movies too, if you ever have a chance. I don't know if you might have watched them, but
no, I haven't.
There are 3, and there's musicals, and so there's a lot out there as well you can get into if you want to dig more into Sailor Moon.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like Sade told me a little bit about that, and I was like, I need to not work so much so I have time for fun stuff like that.
Yeah, balance is important.
Yeah.
And do you have any advice for anyone who wants to either become an astrologer or just get more into astrology?
Yeah, my advice is always going to be start with traditional astrology. That's my lineage. That's like kind of what I teach, and where I come from is this branch of astrology called Hellenistic astrology that basically is part of traditional astrology. And the reason I say start there is because there is a system. There are like almost formulas even, and not to say that it's limited or restricted to that, but it can be so overwhelming because there's so much out there. There's so many different ways you can approach astrology. And in my opinion, starting from this grounded, rooted place of traditional astrology will give you like an incredible foundation to just build off of and to take it in so many different areas. So that's where I would say to start. Traditional. I would say if you like have no idea and you like don't even know where to begin, I'm personally like an audio learner, audio visual learner, so I'm really into podcasts and webinars and anything I can like watch and listen to, and so I'm gonna obviously recommend my podcast, The Astrology Show, which I think is like just really good for getting started. It's all very conversational, and I basically have these like really in-depth conversations with other astrologers, and we kind of break down things to make it less overwhelming. So I think my podcast is a great resource. The other incredible resource is the Astrology podcast hosted by Chris Brennan. He's a colleague and friend, and he, he is how I learned what I know, for not all of it, obviously, but like, it's just such an incredible free resource. And it's on YouTube. So like I said, if you're a visual learner, and there's just so much content, like Chris has done an incredible job. And it's been running for like 6 years at this point. So there's just a lot out there. I was on an episode. He was on an episode of my podcast. So friend podcast friends, I guess. But yeah, I would say starting there and getting actual reputable astrologers, like learning from them is going to be the best way to go. And, if you find astrologers, especially from those R2 shows that you're interested in, like follow them, consume their content, maybe take some of their classes or, see what offerings they have. And then I'm going to highly, highly, highly recommend getting a reading from a professional astrologer and spending the money on that, because there's just nothing like it. There's nothing like having someone synthesize your chart in real time, as opposed to just definitely download Cusp, but an app is not going to be the same as having, a living, breathing astrologer synthesizing everything for you. And, being able to ask questions and really clarify things with an astrologer is just so priceless. So that's going to be my other big suggestion, especially if you're learning or what have you. It's so helpful to be able to just talk to an astrologer. I'll just leave it at that. Follow people whose work resonates with you, and go from there.
That makes a lot of sense, and I hope to get a reading one day because I'm so happy.
I'd love to recommend some folks when you're ready. So
yeah, definitely, I'll hit you up for sure. Or maybe you. I don't know. I like you. If you're open to it. But
yeah, of course.
And I just wanted to plug too, the 11th house, I think seems like a great resource as well from what I'm hearing.
Yes.
And so
certainly. Yeah. My whole brand basically is centered around teaching astrology, so I'm a good place to come to if you're really interested in learning.
I really appreciate that because I feel like I can't speak for everyone, but I feel like astrology is one of the things that feels a little bit intimidating. So it's nice to have a welcoming space where it's it's okay if you don't know anything. I will help you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I have a lot of workshops, webinars, that type of stuff on my website as well. I don't know when this is coming out, but all of that, my website is kind of relaunching and kind of opening up all my offerings again in early February. So
cool.
That'll be there.
This episode will come out before then, but for people who know, who are listening, check out her website in a few weeks.
Awesome.
And just like Sailor Moon had her Sailor Moon Says phrase at the end of every episode, which is actually not on the Hulu version, but it's on the older 90s one. It's PSA.
Oh.
Where she would just kind of give a just a PSA, the old school 90s PSAs where it's boys are gonna be mean to you, don't let them. But I say all that to say, what would your phrase be? So Sailor Kirah says.
Sailor Kirah says, let me think about this. Yeah. I have to get this I have to say this before we end because it's on my mind. The fact that I haven't said anything about Tuxedo Mask. And
oh my God. Yeah, do it.
I don't know why. I feel like I have to say, he's just the most hilarious character ever to me.
Yes, he really is.
He just he's so ridiculous. He has to be a Leo. He has to be the Leo character, Leo, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's just he just comes in. It's this grand show. It's all appearances. He never does anything except throw a rose at someone. Am I dragging you too much? Anyway, I just couldn't leave here without without mentioning Tuxedo Mask. Okay, what would my Kirah says be? I think it would be, a phrase that I use a lot is timing is everything. And so just know, Kirah says timing is everything, and things are going to happen when the timing is right for them.
Nice. I love that. That is so true and so absolutely correct. Also, you did not drag Tuxedo Mask too much. He gets dragged so much on the show. Every time. I love it.
Good.
Yeah, in one of my most recent rewatches, I was like, he is so ridiculous. Like, he really just popped up, threw a rose, and left. And like,
sometimes it's like they were fine.
Yeah.
Like, or it's like you didn't help at all. Like,
mm-hmm.
you just came in here to like look cute and say you did something where you actually didn't do anything.
Yeah, and I actually find it funny. You'll see Usagi gets another love interest in season 5, who is also a Leo, and I always just found that interesting that she goes for 2 Leos in the span of the show.
I'm so for it. I love like a Cancer Leo couple.
Ooh, okay.
Or like that combo, because it's like Cancer and Leo are ruled by the sun and the moon. And so it's like the luminaries. You get that warmth, you get that illumination, that brightness, that like they just are drawn. I think people are drawn to Cancers and Leos because of that. They have this just luminosity to them almost. So I love when Cancer Leo couples get together because I'm like, oh, it's like the sun and the moon, or like, you know, the king and the queen.
Oh, I love that. I never even thought about that. And the other fun thing is the other love interest is a July Leo, and Tuxedo Mask is an August Leo. I don't know if you subscribe to the theory, but that's what was interesting to me too. Is like, oh, what's going on here? But yeah,
that is very interesting.
But yeah, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And lastly, what is next for you, and where can people find you?
Awesome. Yeah. What's next for me? Well, yeah, I'm launching season 3 of my podcast in February. I'm just like doing this whole rebrand, redoing my website, and then also opening the doors to the 11th house again, all starting February 7th. So that's like a huge thing that's coming up, and I'm really, really stoked about that. And I'm also hosting a retreat in France, which I haven't announced yet, but it's going to happen. It's going to be like knitting and astrology. I'm really, really stoked about that. That's going to be in June. And yeah, besides that, it's just kind of like 11th house stuff and podcast stuff and Cusp stuff. Cusp. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Cusp. The new updates coming out soon with these expanded compatibility reports. And even more to come on that front too. So just lots of work and lots of traveling, and speaking at 2 astrology conferences this year, and I'll be traveling for that, and I'll be in Europe for 2 months. So just bopping around trying to meet, you know, astro nerds in real life, hopefully this year. And yeah, just keep expanding, keep doing astro.
That sounds so cool. Did you say knitting? Like knit, like to knit?
Yeah, knitting. Yeah,
that sounds like so much fun.
I have I'm collabing with one of my like students and clients. Is her and her partner host these knitting retreats. They're French, and I was like, hey, do you want to like do a collab, because I want to come to France and knit.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So that's happening. We're still like sorting out details and stuff. So we haven't announced anything yet, but I guess I'm too excited about it. So I've been talking about it. So yeah, all of that is going to be on my website, theastrology.com, and on social at theastrology. And on Cusp, the Cusp front, you can find us cuspastrology.com, on social, on Instagram, cusp.astrology. And yeah, definitely follow us on Instagram. We post a lot of good content, a lot of like good astro weather content. And yeah, that's I think it. Just the podcast, the astrology show. We have an Instagram for that too, and more to come for all of that, the 11th house, everything.
Awesome. Well, I am so excited for you, and everything sounds amazing. And I already downloaded the app, and that will be my night.
Yes.
And yeah, thank you again for coming on the show. And once again, I am Victoria L. Johnson, host of the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast. And you can find me at Miss Old School on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find the podcast at Moonies Club on Twitter and Moonies_Club on Instagram. And we have merch if you want to check out our merch at mooniesclub.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe, leave us a review, all the fun stuff. And yeah. And thank you again for coming on the show and trashing Tuxedo Mask and talking about astrology with me.
Thank you. It's been a blast.
Bye, Moonies.